Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese is on a mission. The PM has touched down in the US ahead of the G7 meeting in Canada, where he has finally secured a meeting with Donald Trump. So with tariffs and AUKUS on the table, how exactly should Albo play this?
For a visiting politician, there's no better place to kick off a US tour than Washington. No, the other one. That's it.
This is my 5th visit to Seattle.
Yes, the Prime Minister was in Seattle as Amazon announced a $20 billion expansion of its data centres in Australia. But if he heard the blues are calling, it was probably because of the upcoming G7 summit in Canada, where he'll finally get his much sought-after one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump.
We do have a meeting scheduled.
The PM's been angling for some FaceTime with the big dog, where he plans to discuss the currently under review AUKUS deal.
What does that mean?
AUKUS. As well as steep US tariffs on Aussie aluminium and steel.
Prime Minister Albanese should push for the return globally to a rules-based order of trade.
But Albo knows there's a lot on Trump's mind.
Obviously, there are issues that the US President is dealing with.
One of those issues being his own 79th birthday, which, crazy coincidence, just happened to coincide with today's big military parade in DC.
Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too.
Military members weren't the only ones marching. 2,000 rallies took place across all 50 states, protesters clashing with police as they chanted the phrase, "No Kings." With all this going on, how can Albo possibly get Don's attention? Step 1, flattery. Keir Starmer scored some wins for the UK when he presented a letter from King Charles inviting Trump to visit the UK.
That is really nice.
So why not also bring a letter from King Charles inviting Trump to visit the UK? Tip 2, gratitude. Say thank you a lot of times.
Yeah. Have you said thank you once this entire meeting?
Of course, they may not notice when you do, so maybe skip the first 2 steps and jump straight to give him a plane.
Donald Trump is set to accept a very pricey gift from the royal family of Qatar.
I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
And you really don't want to go in empty-handed like the South African president.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
So, with our defence and export industry at stake, does Albo have what it takes to charm the birthday boy into a better deal?
Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do?
Well, our very own Trump whisperer, Steve Clemons, joins us now. Steve, how should Albo handle this big meeting with Trump?
Well, look, the most important thing for Albo, or the Australian Prime Minister, to do is to practice his handshake. When Macron first met Trump, he grabbed Trump's hand, he held it firm, and he didn't let go. This made a big impression on Trump. So I think that's the number one thing your Prime Minister needs to get under control.
No one wants a wet handshake.
No, I agree. Would you extend your advice to Sam, incidentally, given his history with failed handshakes?
No, come on. You don't have to answer that,
I think
Steve.
Sam has vastly improved in his handshakes and his hugs. I mean, I've been really impressed with all the progress he's made.
Thank you. Do you think if Albo hugged Trump's arm in the way that I did...
This is the reenactment?
Yeah, so like that. That's what I did. Do you think Trump might say, hey, let's do a deal?
I think that would make him memorable among all the leaders, and it would make him stand out. So, absolutely.
Okay. Well, you're changing the world.
Yeah,
you are.
Thank you.
Hey, the United States is not happy with us on a couple of things at the moment. One is that Australia joined a group of countries to sanction some far-right Israeli ministers recently, sort of Maginski-style sanctions. Also, that we have so far rebuffed an American request that we increase our defence spending to 3.5% of GDP. Do you think either or both of those things will be a factor in these talks?
Well, I think they probably will. Look, I mean, I think the meeting, every time Donald Trump meets a world leader, he wants something from them, right? He's going to want a price from Australia to show that encounter with Donald Trump got something that Donald Trump wants and wants to take credit for. If you're not raising your defense spending, if you're sanctioning Israelis, he's going to want some correction in that or something else. So everything is a negotiation or a deal with Donald Trump.
Given how Trump swings so wildly from one position to another, just how much rides on meetings like this, and how would you ever be able to prepare for it?
Yeah. I think you go in preparing for the worst, and you simulate all the things that could go bad. And so it's better not to have illusions or hopes. Donald Trump basically embarrasses me. And you got to understand, Albanese's not a conservative. He's not in line with Donald Trump. So, you know, he's not going to make Albanese look good in the Washington press or broadly. So you've got to go in with a toughness, with a plan. You got to hold that handshake or do the Sam hug. You've got to do something that makes you not look like a wimp. You've got to not look like a wimp to Donald Trump. That's the big thing.
Amen. You're the first person to say I'm not a wimp. So thank you.
That hug was the evidence.
I call it soft diplomacy. Very soft diplomacy. Now, Steve, I noticed Trump's been having this big military parade this weekend all over the streets of Washington. We played a clip from it earlier in the show. Now, the parade, it didn't feature any nuclear submarines. Is this a bad sign for AUKUS? Come on.
Well, we did have robotic dogs.
Oh.
So we didn't have nuclear subs. We did have robotic dogs. But look, we're not going to have nuclear submarines. They're too big, and it would have stunk. You know, there's a lot of rain that came right before that parade, so it wouldn't have been very good. That nuclear submarine would have sunk into the ground, and that would have been even worse.
Hey, Steve, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.